Welcome to Deadlands Dime Novels, The Adventures of Young and Holt, Issue 40, Dinner in Danger. I'm your narrator, Ernest Wick, intrepid reporter for the Tombstone Epitaph. In this issue, Porter sits down for a hand of cards in some interesting conversation. And then, dinner is served. And our heroes don't want to keep Victoria waiting. So, the cards are dealt. Now let's see where they're at.
Now Joshua's going to head to the animal car, check on the horses, and step in some, well, try not to step in any.
So, Joshua exits, Victoria exits, and you notice, Porter, that Monty is watching them as they go, and they get maybe about a good 10, 15 feet away, and he folds his paper up, and kind of half slaps it down at the table, and raises his eyes towards you, Porter, and he says, "Well, now that they're gone."
Porter jumps a little when the newspaper hits.
He notices that, and it gives him almost a little bit of a predatory smile on his face, but as he raises his eyes and looks at you and says, "All right, now that the amateurs are gone, his eyes kind of flick back and forth between the cards, shall we sit down to a friendly game?"
What's your definition of friendly?
Well, all depends. If you got yourself a sleeping car, I'm going to imagine that you probably have a little bit of extra cash to spend, and he tugs at his lapels a little bit, and I certainly could use a little extra cash myself. So I'd be more than happy to take some from you.
Porter apparently has upwards of $300 on him.
Hello.
So I think he can handle the stakes. And he's had a very good run of luck lately, so I think that's something Porter would definitely accept. I think you, sir, have a good idea.
Good, I thought so. Age before beauty, so if you don't mind, he taps his cards. We'll use my deck.
Okay. I'm going to keep a very close eye on him.
He begins shuffling, and he gets, his hands are very, despite the scars that you noticed, and despite his age, his hands appear to be very deft in the way in which his cards move. And he's about to, actually, make me a notice roll, Porter, while he's shuffling the cards.
No, I am still a little distracted by the scars on hand and is a little jumpy from the sudden noise he made. That, and it's probably been a while since I played against someone who's actually really good at shuffling. Since I've done most of the dealing, pretty much every game we've played so far.
That's true. As he's finishing shuffling, a shadow comes across the table, and you look up and you see the gentleman in the dark green suit standing there. He has, now that he's this close, you can tell, very youthful appearance to him. The suit fits nicely on him, and he looks good. He looks good, but very young. And he says, "Hey, are you two gonna play a little cards? Looks like you're gonna play a little cards there. I'm kind of feeling a little itchy myself, maybe to pass the time, take a little bit of your money. What do you say? You got enough room to deal in a third?"
I'll look to Monty and kind of raise my brows a little bit at him, and I won't actually say anything, but I'll just kind of give him this look.
Monty, he looks back at you. You see that same kind of predatory grin kind of come onto his face. He looks up at the gentleman and he says, "Far be it from me to not be someone to educate the youth on how to properly play cards. By all means, grab a chair." And rather than slide in next to you, Porter, the guy goes and grabs a chair and sticks it on the edge of the table, and basically taking up this whole spot in the aisle as he sits down. He pulls a chair up and he sticks a hand out. Jerry Jewell, pleasure to meet you. And he shakes Monty's hand, and he goes to shake your hand as well, Porter.
I take his hand and shake it. Porter.
Yeah, let's do a couple of hands. This will be Joshua probably will be gone for, we'll say, about a good half hour, 45 minutes, and right about then would be when people would eat. So, and you'll have a couple opportunities to do some things here. But yeah, let's go ahead and wagers. Monty's down for, make this first one a little bit easier, maybe $2.
Yeah, I'll let Monty set it, and I'll match him.
Okay. And Jerry is more than happy to do that amount as well. And when you gamble, that gives you a +2 to your roll, right?
If I'm cheating.
If you're cheating, yes.
I'm actually not going to cheat at the moment. Because there's no escape route. I'm on a train. There's no place I can go at the moment.
That's very true.
But I will keep my eye out.
Okay.
Even though Jerry may have distracted me and prevented me from seeing any cheating before.
Excellent. All right. Okay, so go ahead and make your roll.
Oh, wow. Oh, man, that's not good.
Wow.
Can't let this happen.
You're gonna... well, that's a 5, though. That's not bad. You didn't win, but you would have actually broke even, because it would be Jerry was the second one of my roll, and Monty actually got the lowest.
Yeah, I can tell by the D8 and the D6.
Here's how this hand plays out, or as you're going. You notice that Monty is cheating, but he's also losing at the same time, and he's losing to essentially, you're breaking even as you're going through this first round of few hands, and Jerry is actually winning. Jerry doesn't seem to have, or at least he hasn't reacted to anything, but you definitely have noticed that Monty is cheating.
Just getting warmed up over there.
He throws down the cards, and this is one of the losing hands as Jerry collects the money from this particular hand. I guess you could call it that. I've played better, but
I can tell.
He looks at you. Yeah. Well, hopefully I'll be a little bit more careful.
Alright, now I bought myself some goodwill. Alright, and the ambulance is gone.
You say that, and yeah, I appreciate the encouragement. We'll try and do a little bit better. So what do we say, gentlemen? Should we, this is Monty, should we up the stakes some? As Jerry's kind of arranging the money, he says, well, yeah, I'm more than happy to keep, let's up this here. I'm doing great. I'm collecting plenty from both of you. So yeah, let's keep this up. Let's keep this going.
Who am I to deny him?
One thing you do notice as far as the money that's going into the pot here as you're playing. Actually, make me another notice check. We'll see the level to which you notice various things. Yes.
About 5.
The money. This is pretty obvious. Jerry is playing and using primarily Confederate dollars. Monty is using primarily Union dollars, and you probably have a mix of both. But Jerry is doing primarily Confederate, or basically all Confederate money. You also have noticed that as you've been looking around, this is part of your normal card playing, whether you're cheating or not. The dude that Victoria said was the bounty hunter, the guy in the black, he has more than what would be considered routine been eyeing up the three of you as you've been playing cards during this.
So, maybe not common knowledge, but knowledge of myself did the Iron Dragon end up putting a bounty on us? Have we heard of any such thing?
That's a really good question.
I mean, would they acknowledge? I mean, it was pretty public.
There probably would be, after you guys escaped Fargo, there certainly would have been, they would have done something. They would have definitely put a bounty on Regina again. But it depends. I'm trying to think back to how noticed you were. The singer did live. Honestly, I would say that they probably would not have put a bounty on you, only because the singer wouldn't have allowed it, because he would have wanted his own vengeance and to restore the honor of capturing the two of you. So if there was a bounty that was going to be put on you, it probably honestly wouldn't happen until after everything that just happened in Grand Island.
Okay,
so
that's what I was kind of
now,
figuring.
Yeah, you're probably pretty bounty free in that sense.
Okay. He'll be definitely out of the corner of Porter's eye. He's kind of keeping an eye on that guy because he already tagged him earlier, and he doesn't want him to get dropped on.
Jerry says at one point, as you're getting ready to play another round of cards, he says, "I don't know what that dude's deal is over there, but that guy in the black over there, he keeps looking this way. I don't know if maybe he wants to play. I don't know if we should let him in, but he's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. I don't know if he thinks he's got something on us, but hey, we're all just three gentlemen playing cards. Am I right?"
Does Monty even glance at that guy's direction?
Monty he certainly does when Jerry brings him up. You can't read in his face what he is acknowledging. What he does say, though, is whether they're after us or not, if somebody wants to get somebody for something, they're going to get somebody for something. And let me tell you, son, he looks at Jerry, I speak from experience on that. All right. You don't have to get all deep and philosophical on me there, old-timer. I'm just, it seems kind of suspicious. I guess if the train was going to get robbed, it would have been getting robbed by now, I guess. You know, I mean, no, I'm not a train robber or anything of that nature, but I'm just saying, you know, that might be the...
No, you aren't a train robber, are you?
No, I'm not. I just, look, he looks down at where his guns are. I defend myself just as fine as everybody else. Nobody wants to mess with me. He kind of smiles, gives a little wink.
So does Porter. He smiles.
Exactly. You know what I speak of. See, he looks at Monty. This gentleman Porter here, he knows exactly what I speak of. You get into a man's business, well, you kind of deserve what you get. All right, let's play cards. Come on. All right, are you going to cheat this time, or are you going to continue to play it safe?
Yeah, now that I have a little leeway, I'm going to step up the game here. That's a 7.
Ooh, all right, you tied with Jerry, and this time Monty is he's again on the losing end of all of this. Yeah. And we upped the stakes on this one. Let's say $5.
Okay.
But if you guys tied, then I guess it would have been a draw.
Do you want to just have a quick roll off and make it easier
to see who comes
calculate?
out? We'll,
yeah,
let's do that because I think one of us should win and one of us should lose.
Just roll again.
Yeah, just roll again, and you can add your cheating bonus. Oh my goodness!
So while it looked neck and neck, what's actually happening behind the scenes that Jerry probably doesn't know about is that I'm manipulating him so Monty loses to Jerry, but I stay just a little bit on top.
All right, so how does this very last hand play out here before they come and say it's time for dinner?
So the last hand is Monty's got a pair of jacks, and Jerry has a 2 pair, and I've got a 3 of a kind, but I just kind of hang on to my 3 of a kind and lay down a pair of queens instead. so that Monty still loses, and I lose to Jerry, but it keeps us even for these last set of hands. So I've lost no money over this whole exchange, essentially.
You clear off the table. The conductor comes through and he hits the little gong, saying it's time for dinner. Down in the foremost car, and makes his way through. And Jerry kind of fixes himself up, stands up. Well, you win some, you lose some, and I guess we all just kind of did a little bit of both here. But I tell you something, gentlemen, it sure was a pleasure doing business with both of you in this capacity. But I gotta say, he rubs his stomach a little bit. I'm feeling a little hunger right now, so I'm gonna go and get me some grub, and we'll see you both later.
You enjoy your meal.
That's the plan. And he walks out. As he walks out, he puts both hands, one on each gun, just kind of gives them a little bit of a massage as he walks towards the dining car. You and Monty, you kind of look around, Porter, and you could see Joshua now making his way back from the cattle car. As you are getting ready to get up and make your way to dinner, Monty puts his hand out in the center of the table, and you can see he has a couple of, again, the scars are kind of obvious there. And he looks at you, and he says, a question for you before we go and eat. You got the gift? I mean, you play cards well, that's for sure.
The moment he says that, what would be hiding my reaction? What skill would that go under?
Skill, I would put it under persuasion, but this to me almost seems like it might just be a spirit roll, because he's not trying to taunt you, but that's effectively what it is. Looks like he's trying to squeeze something out of you, so this would be versus your spirit to resist it. But you can make a spirit check to see how well you hide your reaction.
So Porter, when he says that, immediately his mind just races. But because luckily he's still in gambling mode after gambling for so long, he keeps that straight face, and he's like, he looks him in the eye, and he says, "You really need to be better with your dealing. It's not helping you out."
He sighs, kind of a heavier sigh. And he says, "No, I know, and I've been dealt some pretty bad cards in my day, I guess." And it's rubs his face a little bit, and it's kind of begun to take its toll on me. And I guess maybe I'm
played one too many games.
I think I've played one too many games. And hopefully when I get to Denver, I'll be able to stop that card playing. And I think you know what I mean. Or at least taps the table as he kind of creaks and stands his way up. He goes, "At least I hope you know what I mean." And he picks up his paper and just turns and starts to walk away from you.
Well, he gets far. He gets out of sight. Porter's like, "What's in Denver that he's going to give up?"
Joshua, you show up basically right at this time as you see Monty walking off towards the dining car, following Zeke and Jerry on their way, and everyone else in the car for that matter, to go and get something to eat.
Porter sniffs. "Did you check the horses?"
Yep, horses are fed. How about us now?
Oh, we're fine. I'm on a string of very good luck.
So we are fed.
Well, you mean I'm paying for your food? Yes. Yes. By the way, you should meet Jerry. I think you'd like him.
Yeah? Is he a jovial fellow full of stories?
Yeah.
As you say that, the dude in black walks past you, and you said that loud enough so it wasn't like he was overhearing your conversation, and he just says, "Yeah, you could say that. He won't shut up." And then he just keeps walking. And Jerry did talk extensively during your poker playing. I mean, he he kept relaying all manner of stories, some which sounded like they could be true, some which sounded like there was no way in hell that they could be true.
Yes. I'll be honest, it's kind of how I imagine you were like about 20, 25 years ago. Maybe even longer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had a looser tongue back then. Of course, it was pickled.
I don't know about his, but his tongue speaks more like when we first met in Albert Lee.
Well, shall we not keep Victoria Grace waiting?
Oh yeah, you have a date. I forgot about that.
We.
Oh no. She's not interested in me. After you.
I'm getting too old for this.
Besides, Porter has a thing for women now. He's probably going to sidestep that for a little while. It's not turned out too well yet, and may not in the very near future.
Well, at least you're trusting the cooking in the dining car.
Oh, you just made him stop. Sort of a little hitch in his step there. Let me make a guts roll here and see if Porter actually does join him for dinner. Porter may not be eating too much.
I'll just have the breadsticks, thanks. Victoria did actually save 2 spots at the table. She is sitting there with the nun, and as soon as the two of you walk in, she flags both of you down to come and sit. Porter, you probably have enough intestinal fortitude that you can at least handle the salad that they serve at the beginning.
But yeah, because the salad isn't anything mixed and cooked together, so I can kind of pick through it beforehand to double check. That's why breadsticks are out, because there could be something inside the breadsticks for all I know.
Joshua approaches the table, sees the 2 spots that are open, also sees a woman of the cloth sitting there, and before he pulls out the chair and sits down, he kind of has a little bit of a hiccup, takes off his hat, tries to smooth his hair down, and puts it on one of the chair posts, if you will, and then he'll sit down in the chair.
The nun, she looks at you and she says, "I appreciate the gesture, but it's not necessary. But thank you." All right, so Joshua, you sit down. Porter, I take it you're going to sit down?
Yeah, I'll sit down.
Okay. Victoria, she has her fan out again, and she goes, "Oh, goodness, thank you so much for joining. I saved these 2 spots for you, the 2 of you. Gentlemen, this here is Sister Crane. Sister Crane, hold it now, let me see if I get this right. Porter, although Porter, now that I think about it, I don't believe you told me your last name. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. And this gentleman here, this is Joshua Young. This is the gunslinger I told you about earlier, a little bit ago, sister." She nods towards both of you, and as she looks at each of you, her gaze kind of lingers a little bit longer, as if she's not the whole like looking into your soul sort of thing, but she definitely appears to be scrutinizing more than what is just on the surface of both of you.
Porter busies himself with like a glass of water, kind of looking away a little bit, nervously.
Sister, it's a pleasure to dine with you this evening. And if you wouldn't mind, would you say grace?
I'd be happy to. And she kind of looks.
I'll quizzically look at Porter like, what?
No. Porter has. He just kind of quickly puts down his glass, as if he shouldn't have been touching it beforehand.
She just looks at the 2 of you, and it looks like she wants to say something, but she decides not to. She then does indeed dispense with the grace, or dispenses the grace, and then the conversations kind of ensue. as it goes back and forth as the food is being served. One of the topics that does come up, and Victoria brings this up, and she says, so, I'm very curious to get all of your opinions. Now, I have not gone there. It wasn't on the way business-wise for Daddy, so I've not been able to go there. And from everything that I have been told, it sounds really like a truly rough and tumble place, especially with the most recent events that have occurred within the past couple of months. But did y'all hear about the stuff that went down in Deadwood? That just sounds dreadful. Dreadful. Oh, are you okay, Porter?
Sorry. Ooh, I need a drink.
Sometimes drinking water on a moving train goes down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, that can be a trouble, that's for sure. Sister kind of gives you each a discerning look.
Yeah, it was quite the incredible story that came out of Deadwood.
It was a very interesting story that came out of Deadwood. Now, I've read several different accounts in several different papers. Daddy likes to pride himself and his family members on being very well read. And the one thing that mystifies me is that in almost every one of them accounts, everything seems to be a little bit different, and about the only thing that seems to be the same was just that there was a number of people who sadly died throughout the whole thing. I do have to say, and sister, I'm not just saying this just because you're here, but I guess I'm trying to get your perspective on it, being a woman of the cloth, I guess, in a certain sense. Yes, was the account, I can't remember now which paper it came from, but that it sounded like demons from the depths of hell themselves escaped from some of them ghost rock mines and took vengeance on the miners who were busy harvesting all that rock. And it appears that they must eat their own, I guess, because there was stories of hellfire and flashing lights and all kinds of strange and supernatural things that occurred that eventually made it all stop. So they must have, after they had gotten their fill of the mortal souls there in Deadwood, I guess maybe they consumed themselves. I don't really know the ins and outs of demons and devils personally. I mean, I go to church and everything, but this just sounded just awful. Joshua, you are a very well-rounded individual. Have you ever been to Deadwood before?
On a couple of occasions.
Were you there when all of this happened? Please do tell.
Well, I would say that night...
Was one of those times you were there with your apprentice here, Porter?
Porter looks expectantly to Joshua. Oh, no, I haven't been with him that long. Only the past month or two.
Make me a persuasion roll, Porter.
Lie like a dog.
I am a horrible liar. So bad that it's a 1d4 minus 2. Well, I got 3.
You say that you've only been with a couple of months, and you...
I mean, that's somewhat technically correct. It's only been like 2 months and a half a month or something like
it's
that.
It's in the realm of truth.
That's why I said a couple. I didn't say 2.
All depends how you want to define the word a couple.
Couple. Yeah, well, that's why a couple was used.
But you do...
Give me that little bit of leeway.
You do see Sister Crane when you say that. She gives a body language gesture, kind of like a... Like, you don't know if she was doing something with the food that she was eating at that time, or if she was actually...
or if she's just making fun of my feeble attempt to lie.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna throw some bones, and depending on the results, see how I'm gonna spin this yarn.
Not bad. That's an 8. So you say you were in Deadwood. Were you in Deadwood then when all of this went down? Because that would indeed be a fascinating story.
Well, ma'am, I don't really like to talk about, as you say, handling a gun, but yes, I was in town when that took place. There was a old associate who came back to haunt me, and him and I didn't swap words as much as we swapped lead. Didn't end well for him, and laid me up for a bit, so all that excitement I missed out on.
So you were there. So but the tales, the hellfire and the demons and all of that, Did you hear any of that when you were recovering?
I did not, no. And you know, with all these little dime novels and such that you can find at the local general stores to entertain children, it almost makes me think that some of the newspaper men are playing up in order to sell some more stories.
Did the ghost from your past become a ghost then, essentially?
Yes, he won't be haunting me no more.
You get done with that, or you say that line, and Victoria leans back and fans herself, and she lets out an, "Oh dear." And Sister Crane looks up at you, Joshua, and she says, "Your story aside, let me just say that I do believe there is a bit of truth in everything that you might have read, lady. And but the real truth of it's probably somewhere in the middle. It's a sad tale that you tell there, Joshua, for a man who's appears to be all wrapped up in black like yourself. I hope you are able to find some peace. Those who, as the saying goes, those who live by the sword. I hate to see anyone end up with the second half of that phrase. And I guess that's kind of why I'm doing what I do, is to her eyes seem to just kind of pour into you a little bit at this point, Joshua. I feel that I'm on this earth to rescue those who might find themselves in such a situation, and then her gaze kind of slides over to Porter as she continues.
Are the salads here?
What's that?
The food?
Yes, this is definitely while food is being served.
Okay, I'm gonna purposely avoid her gaze as I eat the salad. Pick through and eat the salad.
Her gaze. Well, then Joshua, you notice as Porter, you don't. But Porter, you can feel her words coming right at you.
Oh, absolutely.
As she turns towards you and says, "Or to prevent those who may be finding themselves walking on such a path." And then she crunches on a tomato at that point.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bring up such matters at the table. It really isn't polite table talk.
Well, if truth must be told, I did ask. So whatever the truth is that comes out of that, then I guess perhaps that I am to blame. But I do find these tales to be truly fascinating. The fact that this man from your past, whatever that relationship may have been, could be resolved in such a violent and final fashion, I guess would be a tragic thing, I guess, at the core of it. But still, I do remember many tales that Daddy would tell me from his daddy would engage in duels to settle disputes, and truly, that's just what am I trying to say? It was something that just seemed so rough, I guess. Daddy he's never engaged in a duel himself. He prefers to either resolve things with words or, as he likes to put it, and please forgive my language, sometimes Daddy will say he wants to crush the bastards. But that's Daddy talking, not me. She fans her fan a little bit more. One thing that does happen, though, Porter, to you, as the meal is served and you're not eating, Sister Crane at one point does look at you. Are you not hungry?
I'm a light eater.
That's a It's a fine piece of meat that you have on your plate there, and that doesn't happen that often. You're not going to eat it. Is there, are you feeling okay?
Actually, let me, now that the meat, a delicious meat, mind you, is right in front of me, let me make a guts check again. But Porter looks at it, and she might even notice that he gets a little pale, as thanks to Joshua's comments earlier, and he again reinforcing everything. And he's like, "No, I think I'll be good."
All right. I would hate to see if there's anything that would be troubling you, that would prevent you from eating.
Now Chris is making me paranoid about the food.
And she goes back to eating, and after she says that, Porter, you hear a little whisper in the back, inside your mind. This little voice says, "Ooh, she doesn't like you. She doesn't like you at all."
Okay. I'm going to assume that doesn't happen very often.
It has happened a couple of times, but it's never, I don't think it's ever been in a situation where you either haven't been in combat or haven't been in a dream sequence of some sort.
I was going to say, the only times I believe it's happened is during the card game or a dream. So this would be the first time outside of that.
Right.
Alright, so Porter immediately looks over his shoulder.
There's nobody standing or sitting there.
And sort of rubs at his head a little, and in a little bit of frustration goes back to eating.
And you all eventually fall asleep. Dinner is finished. It becomes dark. The train continues to chug on.
When we go back to the bunk car, where it's just us two. Alright, well, is Joshua going to bed right away, or the same time as Porter is? I guess I should say.
He'll go back with Porter.
And you said there's like little benches in there as well?
Yes.
So Porter just kind of sits down on the bench and says, "Joshua."
Well, before you start, I think there's something I need to tell you.
There's something I need to tell you, too?
I made up my mind to change my way, to leave the crowd.
Well, looks like things are about to take a turn for the interesting. Seems that both Young and Holt have a secret or two that they need to get off their chest. Should be fun to see how this plays out. Assuming, of course, that fate doesn't intervene. We'll find out in our next issue, Off the Rails. The part of Porter Holt is played by Brad Smith. Joshua Young is played by Brent Rich, and your intrepid marshal is played by Chris Hussey. This game references the Savage Worlds game system available from Pinnacle Entertainment Group at PEGINC.com. It is unofficial media content permitted under the Media Network Content Agreement. This content is not managed, approved, or endorsed by Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Certain portions of the materials used are the intellectual property of Pinnacle, and all rights are reserved. Savage Worlds, all related settings, and unique characters, locations, logos, and trademarks are copyrights of Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Thanks also to Fear the Boot. Support their Patreon at patreon.com/feartheboot. Intro music by Beelzebub Jones. Exit music by Eugene Regret. Contact information for the cast as well as music links can be found in the notes on our website, youngandholt.com. If you enjoy these issues, please consider dispensing a lovely 5-star review on wherever you do listen from. Please search for fear the boot actual play. It's kindly appreciated. I'm Ernest Wick for the Tombstone Epitaph. And remember, there's more hope for a confessed sinner than a conceited saint.
I long for my girl, but I could not go. So I wrote a letter to my dear, but not a word did I ever hear. Oh, curse the Yarl, go